Hello, everybody. How's it going today? Thank you all for joining. Let me grab my actual Spotify podcast microphone. I haven't done this in a few weeks, so bear with me. I am on YouTube, I am on Spotify, so if you could subscribe and like and comment supports my channel. I am by no means a professional podcaster. This is just for fun, right? I have things I like to say, and this coming year, once I compete after January 2026, I have big plans for this podcast. So stay tuned. If you don't know me, welcome. My name is Haley Barbetti, or aka Powerful Hippie. Haley Barbs is my pseudonym. So I'm all over Instagram as well as YouTube. And yeah, I'm trying to upload videos, a couple times a month. So thank you again for joining. Just as a reminder, I am a Redcon sponsored person. So Redcon One supplements, best supplements on the market. People ask me like, why do you take supplements? Like, you don't need it. Let's talk. All right, knock on wood, because we're going into cold and flu season. I haven't gotten sick in forever. And this is not an ad or anything. But I used to work at Vitamin Shop back in the day. I was a part-time manager in college. It was a great job. And I got really enthralled in the supplement world. And I got introduced in all the different, vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, supplements, just another way of life. Doesn't replace your diet, but it can really help your immune support, your hormonal function, your recovery, longevity, everything, like everything. I think I said immune twice. That's how important immune system is, right? Especially during cold and flu season. But I love Redcon One. They were the number one Vitamin Shop brand of the year in 2019. And my biggest supplement that I use by them is their MRE Light, which is an animal-based whole foods protein. So if you're like me and you are trying to do more whole foods, or you're just maybe lactose or dairy sensitive, their protein's an awesome combo. And, everyone's like, animal-based, it must taste like chicken. No, it doesn't taste like chicken. It doesn't taste like fish. It doesn't taste like eggs. It tastes like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, or whatever flavor you buy. They don't have a chicken flavored one. I wonder what a savory protein powder would taste like instead of sweet. Honestly, that would be kind of interesting. But I do have a discount code for you. Please use it. It saves you 20%. It's Powerful Hippie all together. POWERFULHIPPIE. All one word at checkout. Saves you 20%. And I will always include the link for you in the bio. Now, every week on my YouTube channel, not really on my Instagram, because I've been liking to have like a longer chit chat, sit down with you. What I'm doing and what I'm aiming to do is really use myself as a guinea pig for anyone who's interested in wanting to compete in bodybuilding, because bodybuilding is so different than powerlifting. It's such a different animal. You guys have no idea. So I'm going to break it down for you, because I have been in the gym for 11 years and I would call myself a bodybuilder, but I would not call myself a competitive bodybuilder. Okay. I don't want to go off ticking anybody off who competes in bodybuilding, because it really requires way more than just going to the gym and training like a bodybuilder and even eating pretty much like a bodybuilder, which is what I've done for 11 years. When I was a power lifter, I will say my diet was not as strict, which I loved for a myriad of reasons, predominantly because it took off my stress of having to think about what I was going to constantly eat and consume, and just go to the gym and work hard, work my ass off, get PRs, put on weight, because I actually wanted to jump weight classes, because I had a mentality at that point in my life that I had to be the biggest, strongest, person out there. And right now I'm just, that's not where I am in my life anymore. So I've taken a turn, okay, like a 180, if you will. And I have been in the gym for a long time, and I kind of preach this, but in my background, I have been in the gym for 11 years. I've learned a lot from powerlifting and now bodybuilding. I have learned a lot from my certifications, a lot through blood, sweat, and tears and time. Chris Gethin, he's an amazing bodybuilder. I think he's been a powerlifter as well. But he talks about knowledge without mileage is bullshit, which is so true. Like, you can have so much knowledge, you can have degrees and certifications, but you also have to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk. So I wanted to do that with bodybuilding. I wanted to be able to call myself a competitive bodybuilder. Can't do that unless I compete in bodybuilding. And this is just for me. This is just because I like challenges. I like trying new things. And I'm in the point in my life where I don't have kids, and I'm not going to get another master's degree. I already have two. So I was like, let's just challenge myself. Let's just really go all in bodybuilding. This is a great time. I've been able to really bring my work stress down because I work from home and I can manage my schedule. I have a lot of autonomy. So even though last semester, because I'm a college professor, I was teaching, it was a lot of work with bodybuilding. Now I don't have that much stress this term because I'm not teaching. I'm just doing my full-time job as an academic advisor. So I started working out at 18 because I liked the style of bodybuilding training, and I liked the powerlifting training. And so when I was 18, that's when I really got into the gym. Like, I started with P90X in my living room, doing P90X for a year, and then that was like the gateway drug for me. I started getting a little bit more, into fitness, and I had some friends in high school and college at the time, and they were like, they were on the soccer team or something. So they were like, let's work out together. So I was going to the gym with them. And once I got to college, it was my second year in college. I was like a junior, senior kind of. I was like, all right, I'm buff, I'm ripped, which really I was just in caloric deficit. I didn't have enough muscle mass to think about being a figure competitor. Everyone told me I should go compete in women's figure, and I should have been like bikini at that point, but I was like 20 years old. I had some muscle, but in my opinion, I had no business thinking that I could be a figure pro. You got to live and learn. And when you're under 25, like, your brain's still developing. So anyway, I was 20 years old and I hired a bodybuilding coach. Now, I did learn a lot, but I mostly learned what is not good for me, because it really strongly impacted negatively, by the way, my physical and mental health. I stuck with a meal plan and a fitness plan with that coach. I'm not going to mention their name. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus because I think they still coach. They were just not the coach for me. It was really just how they coached. It was very cookie cutter. They probably changed their coaching approach since then. But I did stick with them for a while. However, after 4 months, I had horrible issues. So it started with me losing my period, which I knew could happen because you're basically putting your body in fight or flight mode. And as a natural bodybuilder, which I don't take any PEDs, right? That's possible because your body is more sensitive. And I had a lot of fatigue issues as well, digestive issues, like I felt bloated or my stomach was messed up. And so after 4 months, I ended up having to quit. And I was only 20 years old. So it was horrible because I was so excited about fitness, and then fitness kind of like, I felt like let me down. And I had to go to doctors and found out that it was a combination of, I was on birth control pill and that suppressed my ovulation. I had high cortisol. I had food androgen digestive inabilities because I wasn't consuming enough variety, and I was becoming more like sensitive and intolerant to eggs and chicken. I was eating a lot of those, which are very high in the bodybuilding world and community, but I was very sensitive to those. So I did have to do a lot of research, but this led me down to the path of working with an amazing holistic practitioner in Tallahassee. I can't remember their name. I don't even know if they still practice anymore because this was like 2017. So this was almost 8 years ago, right? But they led me to Dr. Mark Hyman, and I tried his 10-day detox. That changed my life, by the way. If you are struggling with metabolic disorders or inflammation or chronic digestion or hormonal issues, look into Dr. Mark Hyman's 10-day detox book. It changed my life. I also continued to look into supplements. I added Vitex and increased my calories, especially my fats, because I was so calorically messed up and metabolically messed up because I was in a caloric deficit. So I was eating less than my maintenance calories for like 4, 5, 6 months. And really eating less. I don't even know what my calories were. I'd have to go back and look. I still have those training plans, but it was like 1,200 calories, which is what a toddler should eat. It was so bad. And when you do that for such an extended period of time, your body thinks that you're fighting it, and it's not a good thing. So basically, I had to learn a lot about my body again, even as a 20 almost 21-year-old person, right? I don't drink, so that wasn't an issue, but I did avoid alcohol during that time especially. But luckily, after working with doctors and upping my calories and my hormones, getting off the birth control pill was a big one because that was also depleting my B vitamins. I finally felt normal, got my period back, had no stomach issues, little to no stomach issues, and I finally felt me again and healthy, and that's when I started training really hard in the gym, and I felt so strong and powerful, and I was hitting PRs, so like squat, bench, deadlift, right? And I wasn't powerlifting, I wasn't competing in powerlifting, I was just doing the powerlifting movements. I had a friend at FSU introduce me to people in the FSU powerlifting club, and I just got into that. And that's what kept me really pushing in the gym. So that's my background. I have been there. If you are there right now, especially as a woman, as a female, and struggling with the hormonal thing and health issues, I feel you. It sucks. But all I can say is you got to be your own advocate. You got to get blood work done. You got to find the right doctors, whether that be Western, Eastern, or a combination of medicines. Look into supplements, look into literature. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to do your own research into your body because nobody will come save you. And I hope that I'm inspiring you to advocate for yourself because in women's health, we don't have enough advocation, in my opinion. So anyway, that's my soapbox. And that's really what made me not love bodybuilding at first. It took me almost 10 years to want to get back into bodybuilding. So this comeback for me is personal. It is very emotional because I almost never wanted to compete in bodybuilding again. And now after almost 10 years, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to do this the best I can with a coach who knows their stuff, who's not giving me a cookie cutter approach, who's listening to me because bodybuilding for so many people takes so much time, energy, money, and it is an emotional and a mental game. It's not just a physical one. You can't put your emotions aside or you will mentally be unstable and unhappy and probably burn out. And the last thing you want to do is when you dedicate yourself to something like this is burnout. So that's where I am right now. I've been doing this for almost 4 months and I kind of felt burnt out this past week. I don't really know why. Posing was all right. I do need to work more on posing. I'm working with posing coaches. But I think it's just because I started feeling the same way. And that's when the emotional side of everything, the mentality is so important. You do need to address it. You can't just let things simmer in your mind. That's unhealthy. So I was talking to some friends of mine and I was like, I wonder why all of a sudden I had such a burning passion and fire to try to accomplish this. And all of a sudden it's like, what's the point? And then someone very wise in my corner, you know who you are. I'm not going to put you on blast and say your name. But she was like, well, maybe you realized that this is not what you need to do in your life right now. Now you are committed, so you better lock in. But maybe this is just not what you want to do. And that's okay. You have to figure that out. So not to say that I'm not going to ever compete in bodybuilding again. I might have a change in heart, but I still have 2 months left of this stuff. So as a natural bodybuilder who's never touched PEDs because the side effects scare me, and when I was on the birth control pill, that caused me to have horrible side effects. I did have anxiety. I did have digestive issues. didn't want to ever go down that road. And again, this is not me saying that you should never compete in bodybuilding. This is saying it can take over your life. You do need to hold a lot of space for it. I don't think it's healthy to push your emotions aside. If you have big emotions and big feelings, you are valid. You deserve to feel those. And I hope your coach makes space for that because that's really what they're there for, is to motivate you on the days. Even if you've been doing this for 10 years like me, it's their job to help you realize your full potential. If your coach is not doing that, you need to tell them that, because that's very big in my world. That's just how I really, really, really stress it. Because if I were a coach, again, because I've been a coach in the past, communication is key, but also you have to remind them their why, because that's really, really important for their success. So here are my recommendations for if you are trying to do a bodybuilding show like me, but you don't want to have a crash out. Let's talk. Let's have a real come to the table, come to the congregation moment, because I think as a competitive power lifter and someone who's been in the gym for 10 years, I've learned enough to know and see how to coach and how to be that person to help people understand that this is a mental and a physical game. Unlike powerlifting, where it's predominantly physical, I would say bodybuilding is predominantly mental, because it's all, you think about food all the time and training all the time and cardio all the time. You really can't turn it off. Powerlifting, you can turn it off. You go home, you recover, you eat, you watch your movie, call it a day. With bodybuilding, you go home, you have to weigh your food, you have to maybe do more cardio, think about everything for the next day. It's very time consuming. So how do we avoid the crash out? The crash out might be inevitable. Unfortunately, that is kind of a part of things, but let's talk. It shouldn't be life or death, unless this is your career and this is like lots of money on the line and you have to be perfect and you have so much writing on this, right? Especially if this is your first show. Again, do the best, forget the rest. Tony Horton, so wise, P90X. So I would start here. How long have you been training? If you've been training for less than 4 years in the gym, in my opinion, you may not have enough muscle mass to be super competitive. Look at who you were competing against, or who is even like top tier, and see where your physique is right now and see how long it may take you to get to where you want to be. If you're already pretty muscular, but you've not followed like a fitness protocol for more than 6 months, and this, by the way, for bodybuilding is not just training. I'm talking about diet and training. You need to do both for an extended period of time to understand what it's going to require, because it's going to get way harder the closer you get to your competition. So follow that for at least 6 months. And if you can't follow a diet protocol, I would say 90%, 100, like all the time, you might need to not do this right now, because it does require that much perfection for the diet, especially, and training. So before you commit to a show, see how you can do that and make adjustments, because that's really important. Number 2, which again, in the fitness community, I still preach this. You have to really budget for stuff like this. Powerlifting is expensive, all right? But save your money. Time is money, but so is money. I wrote that down. I think that's funny. Money is money, right? Like, you work really hard, whether you have a job or whatever, but let's just talk about this, okay? Entry to a show is $200. A suit, a posing suit, bikini or whatever can be $500. Heels, jewelry can be $100. Travel, maybe $300. If it's in the same state, bodybuilding coaches usually charge at least $250 a month. A show prep for at least 4 months is roughly $2,000 to $3,000, and that's on average, and that's not including your food, vitamins, or supplements. So again, if you add all that up in my head right now, that's close to $4,000. Yes. Woo, that's a lot of money. Okay, that was more than what my first car cost. So again, please be diligent, because you can get so burnt out, but don't put yourself into debt for this, man. If this is something you want to do, be smart, be mature, budget. Number 3 is really important too, coaching and posing. So let's just say your bodybuilding coach is not your posing coach. That means you're going to have to pay for a bodybuilding coach, someone to write your training and meal plans or diet, nutrition, and then also a posing coach, right? And if you can't do the same at the same time because it's expensive, then you shouldn't do it at all, because you have to be locked in on both. And you do have to work with coaches to get where you want to go, which is going to require a lot of check-ins and communications. This can be time consuming as well. So if you are going to do a coach situation for both, make sure you can see yourself working with someone long term. Now, in my opinion, when choosing a bodybuilding or even a posing coach, make sure you constantly ask questions. You're on the same page because communication is key. If you feel ignored or confused, you should let them know. If they are going through something, because coaches are people too, maybe give them a couple of days, give them some space, and then say, hey, I need to tell you how I feel based on your feedback and X, Y, and Z. Because at the end of the day, it is in your best interest to be honest and let them know where you want to go and why something might not be working for you. Because if they don't know, then it's on you because they can't be mind readers, right? But also, if they are not making you happy because they're just not taking time for you to listen to you and communicate with you, that's a problem too. So always put that on forefront. The next one is, sounds so silly, but it's so important, is access. Do you have access to workout equipment? Like for a gym, cardio? Is it in a safe place? If you are by yourself and you're going to do cardio in the morning first thing or workout first thing or something, is it safe? Because that can be a big situation, you know. Also, cardio equipment. Do you have something in your house in case it's cold or hot or something outside and you can't go outside for whatever reason, or a safety thing? I will say right now I'm averaging probably 12 to 13,000 steps a day. I have to do a lot of cardio. So what that means is I can't always do it at the gym, can't always do it outside. So I bought a walking pad on Amazon for like $130, but I've been on Facebook Marketplace. You can find decent, lightly or brand new used equipment, right? And just try to do the best you can. You can get like a bicycle. Again, I feel like a walking pad is so versatile because you can put that in front of your TV, so it can be great. Just make sure that you have access to all that information and all of those things because it's really important. And the last one I really wanted to touch on, because even though I mentioned it a little bit earlier, it's time. All right, I started prepping for my show in July, I would say. So July, August, September, October, November. It's been 5 months for me. So that's probably why I'm burnt out. I'm just tired. You know, when you do the same thing a long time, it can cause burnout because you're bored or just exhausted, right? So you got to stick with it. You got to be your own motivation and find your why. But are you going to be able to have time to do everything that you need? You have to weigh out your food, man. I got a scale on Amazon for like $10, but that alone can add an extra 30 minutes to my day when it comes to preparation and meals. I had to buy meal preparation, like Tupperware. I found some glass ones at TJ Maxx for pretty cheap, but you can buy some online. You do have to measure and weigh everything out. You got to buy food. You got to meal prep again. You got to cook. So when you are working 2 jobs like I was last term, like I'm not going to sit here and make excuses, but it was hard to get everything, and I was stressed. You could see it in my face. You could see it at the gym. You could hear it in my tone. I was just tired. I was fatigued. I was exhausted. So I would say make sure you're budgeting your time, meal prepping at nights, on the weekends when you can, having healthier snacks when you're in a pinch. Rice cakes for me, the Chomps meat sticks for me, Greek yogurt, those are all my go-tos. I just need something quick, fast, and easy sometimes, right? So those are my top 5 tips for right now. And I am 9 weeks out. So this is my podcast for this week and my week 9 update. I'm tired, but I'm really trying to use this week to just get back on track and reignite my own flame. Sometimes you have to be your own motivation, especially when nobody else around you might be supporting you or really gets it. Of course, you probably have friends and family that respect you and want the best for you. But when people see that you're tired or exhausted, again, they're going to be like, shut it down. So always hold space for the real conversations. Let people talk to you about how they feel, but also remind them that you need them to be there for your support sometimes, right? That's the give and take of this. And also, I didn't add this to the list, make sure you have a support system, whether that's a significant other, like a husband, wife, partner situation, roommates, friends, family, even your coach. Make sure that you have a good support system, because it does require a support system. If you do this by yourself, it's going to just be lonely, and that's hard. So overall, I really hope this helped you, because bodybuilding is a full-time thing, man. It's not just like powerlifting where you can go train, call it a day. Bodybuilding is training all the time. I will say though, it's worth it, and I'm learning so much about myself and my body, and I'm excited to see where I end up in the next 2 months. But I'm also going to realize that this is just a part of my life. It's not my whole life. Even if I love it and I want to do it again, that's just not who I am. I hold space for a lot of things. I like to be creative. I like to travel. I like to write. I like to I like to paint. I like to draw. I like to do gardening. I have a lot of extracurriculars and things that I like to do with myself and my time. But I'll get into that in another episode. So thank you again so much for tuning in. I really hope this helped inspire you, remind you of things to consider if you want to become a bodybuilder. And if you are not sure about getting into it, just know that it does require a lot of work, but it can be so worth it. If this is the phase of your life that you are heading in, it can be awesome. Just make sure that you are dedicated and show up and have a plan. So again, thank you for listening and following me. It really supports me and my channel. So please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow on Spotify. And I will be posting another podcast episode probably next week. So again, look forward to that. And I will see you next time. Hey, just remember, you are awesome and you are powerful. Bye, guys.